seen before in person. We'll roll over here and clip in, and then your doors can roll through here. And we've got about 12 feet of rail system in front of our one fan, which we're adding a second fan hopefully next week. So we actually can roll, like, you know, quite a few drawer fronts or something in front and spray them all at once, and then roll it down the system. And then we would have an empty mobile rail cart attached to this side where you can just feed parts all the way through. Then it would disconnect and go out to our downdraft table so they can be sanded, loaded back on these racks or the mobile rails that clip back in, and then rinse and repeat. And so we have 4 of the mobile rails, and then the U-shaped Guffey system. And like I said, there you go. This skid just came in at 12:45 Eastern or Central Time. Panels, and so I've already unpacked 4 of them and hung them up, and I'll run those through the system so you can see. And then we have a rail over here of prime doors that are ready to go back through. And you know, this job is being installed today, and these are the shelves for an angled cabinet. It's a glass door, so we got those finished through here. On the Guffey system, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, there's a few ways. So like on your typical door, which most of you are probably familiar with, the fast cap, Euro hinge clips. And so those are just incorporated. Guffey has these things called the T-bars. And so I have 3 different sizes of T-bars. And then the doors, after they're clipped in, can just hang on those T-bars. And I'll roll this through the system quickly too, so you can kind of see how that looks. When you have panels and drawer fronts, they have a couple other options. Gosh, sorry, I'm getting a phone call. They have what we call an offset hanger, and it just screws onto the back of the drawer front. And then they have universal hangers right here, and these are applied ends, and so I'm using all 3, or I'm using 2 of them to show you different applications. And so this is an applied end for an upper cabinet, and I have the front of the applied end facing down so that I can get the front edge. I'm not concerned about the back edge, so I did this universal hanger on the back, just space frame screws, and those also work. So we have our little cabinet here. We have universal hangers that we can pull from, our offset hangers. We've got some 17-inch T-bars, and we got some bigger T-bars up here. But the universal can be screwed in, like I have on the panels, through those 2 holes. But you can also go down, like if you have a shelf, you can screw it onto the back of a shelf, and it can hang upright. Oh, just like those shelves over here. I forgot, I already had that application in play. So those are the universal hangers screwed down into the shelf. And then on like a larger panel, a smaller applied end for a base cabinet, I just used 1 offset hanger. This one is a little bit bigger because it goes on a peninsula with a faux overhang. I used 2 offset hangers and then hung them on a T-bar. And so all of these, the offset hanger and the universal hanger, will hang on T-bars. So it really thought of a lot of things. Like you can use it for all kinds of applications. You know, we finished some posts last week, and so we just use a universal and screw down at the top. And again, you have 360 degrees worth of finishing. So what I'm going to do now, you know, our old system, we just had 1 pivot point in the center that we would have to, you know, manually hang and unhang from these racks. which these racks are still being used. If we have an overflow of doors that are finished that aren't ready to go out, you know, we just pop them off, throw on a T-hanger or whatnot, and they just slip into here. And we're going to reuse our pivot point that we bought and hang it to the side somewhere or somewhere else in the facility. So if we had like a rework piece, something that got damaged on site, but we already have doors going through the system, we can spray it, you know, off to the side. And so that railing system that goes through is basically the same, is the same rail on these mobile rails, and so it clips in. And so really, once these carts are on the rail system, you know, they never leave the rail system. So they'll clip in, go all the way around, and go to the empty cart or back to the cart that it was on. So I'm going to just briefly, first I'm going to pull some carts up, and then I'll try to move this a little bit closer so you can hear me if I'm going to talk. So let me set that up and get some of these mobile rails in place. So I've pushed. Go ahead. Yeah. So I've pushed the mobile rails up to the railing system and locked the casters so they don't move. And I'll just show you that really quick. And so it is slid in. This part is tapered to accept the mobile rail. And then you just have these, it's hard one. Let's see. Those just twist. These are stops, so nothing rolls off of your cart. So I remove those, set them to the side. Normally, you know, we would have these mobile rails loaded up, you know, with all the doors. Right now, these doors are already finished. I just have to get the applied ends through. This is basically all of them. So I'm about to spray those today so they can go out tomorrow. We have yet to really figure out how quickly this is increased finishing. But man, if you talk to, like, you know, I've talked to Nathan and he did like a whole kitchen in like 45 minutes with staining and quick clear coating. And of course, that's him and one other guy. Usually we just have one person in here, but if you have someone kind of getting hard in it, rolling that past you, it can go pretty quick. And another benefit is the finisher never has to drop his gun. I'm going to move these. I have spaced them out so you can see them. I'm going to move them here together. I'm moving all this stuff on one hand. It's a heavy panel, but hard with one hand. I took the stuff off. Okay. So yeah, essentially, just roll these through, and then we move the cart closer so I can use my hands. I'm not going to turn the fan on. I'm not sure how much you can see it, but obviously you can go the panel in front of you. This was a door. I'll be able to flip it around, bring it back, of course, strapping. Closest application is going to go to work. You're using your clipless, pouring. Right now, I'm using offset hangers. That's not like a pretty. So it's everything rolls and moves very smooth. Not sure if that picked up anything. But that's essentially what's going on. We've moved all of these off, really. Then you would have an empty cart that would be connected over here. There was nothing in the rail system, so that rail has all of our cars on it, so I can't really wheel those back onto it. Normally, you would wheel them off, move our cart over, and then you could clip another mobile rail cart on this side. And once it's obviously right now I'm here by myself, and I am finishing right now. Been out here a couple times finishing some stuff during a meeting. But man, once it's in the system, and you got a guy standing, and you get a guy rolling stuff through the system, and a cart can just easily be moved over to wherever you're standing. If there's a standing part that you're finishing, it's just rolling through like a carousel, and it's pretty amazing. I wanted to go out yesterday, and it was again maybe 10 panels, or it wasn't even panels. It was like fillers and some slab applied ends, and I just used one cart, and I rolled them into the system, and I primed them. I sanded them while they were still up because they were in front of the fan, and I just kept them all. Wasn't many parts, nothing too big. So I actually sanded them and finished them without ever taking them out of this system. I left them up. I would want to lay that down on our down table, just in case you had, some detail that you want to get into on your framing profile. Obviously needs to be laying down flat so that I can get into it and make sure everything is. Those are filled. That's typically after primer is usually when we'll address any like joint splits or anything that needs to be filled. We'll do it during that time. You just see it a lot better after you hit it with a coat of primer. So that's, that is the system. So there's joints. We have one problematic joint underneath this lid. But with the only time we ran into issues with that is if we have some homemade door trees that we don't really use anymore. And one had really small casters on them, and so that one and our arms are angled. Then we have the hay-flow ones that obviously have bigger casters and angled those arms, and those roll over it just fine. The justice system, mobile rail cars, car carts are extremely smooth and very heavy. It's so so easy to move this thing with one hand. They really put a lot of quality into the product. It's an amazing product. And it rolls around with no issue whatsoever. So it's a little bit of a problem joint underneath that. All the other joints are fine. But again, of course, we don't have to roll it through this one little thing. I just have it open right now. Usually we'll open it up a little bit more because we'll drive our doors over into here with our forklift, and this is where we'll put plans, their iPads, and they'll go through and find what doors are, how they need to be bored, and they'll board, hinge board, and then they actually write the cabinet number, as you can see, and then they immediately hang them into the system. So there is a problem joint there. We have had one door tree crash a long time ago using our door tree. Our door trees, like right now, one's being used as storage for a job that is not in the finished system yet. That will be hinged and hung soon. And I actually use our door trees now. If I have a weird color that I can't match edge banding to, we'll get unfinished edge banding on the parts. And we actually put our pieces in here, face down, to where the overhang on the side won't matter because it's going to be covered up with a cabinet or applied end or bottom. And then we just take a little spatula, hold it underneath, and spray the front. That way we don't get overspray on the underside of it. And you can stack this door tree with a whole job of edge banded parts. And man, you can have all your edge banding sprayed in like 20 minutes doing it that way. That's pretty much all we use our door trees for now: storage and spraying edge banding on parts if we have to do that. But I avoid that at all costs. That's the time that we don't want to waste. We have done it quite a few times recently, just because you get a really weird color or the edge banding wasn't available or I didn't order it in time, so we just get unfinished edge banding. We run into that primarily with greens. We're having a hard time finding a green edge banding that matches. Greens and blues are kind of difficult sometimes. Whites and grays and things like that, we pretty much just gets kind of close. And this is a good time to give a shout out to Decorative Specialties. If Conestoga can learn one thing from another door company, it would be packaging. They package their doors and panels like they're gold. It's actually kind of a pain in the butt just to unpackage all of it. This is a very large panel, so you don't even. It's like double cardboarded, like a typical door, and it's strapped and it's got all the measurements. So I guys don't even need a tape measure. They just can look at the sticker measurement on the door, or the sticker on the door. And you have metric and imperial. And so they will look at the sticker, match it to the door size plan on Notion, and then they'll unwrap it over where it goes, or if there's anything special about it, and then they unbox it and bore it and hang it in the system, and essentially once it gets hung onto the this one's all over the place. Once it gets hung, it kind of stays in that rail system until they're finished. And they can either be taken off. These are prime and sanded, which I'll be spraying today. But for like this cart of doors, it'll take me, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes to get them sprayed all the way around. And I'm not lifting parts constantly. The material handling alone just cuts out so much time. And it's, once their final coat of paint is on, they can stay on this rack or just be unclipped and moved to one of our other racks until they're ready to be hung onto a cabinet. So material handling alone makes a huge difference. Just the ease of the system, obviously being able to rotate parts, every single part, every one of these cars rotates. Um, and it's definitely was worth every penny I spent on it already. And we haven't only had it for like 2 weeks. But man, it has made a huge difference. We've been able to finish parts very quickly. And, my whole goal has been to, if I'm going to invest in money into this facility, it's going to be in the finish department. And that's why I've designated this whole space to finishing and just try to keep finding improvements. When we do trim or very, very large panels, since we made an open face and I put these 2 posts in here, I do have a plan to have some hinged kind of sawhorses that come down, some arms that come down where you can just lay trim down. But right now I just set up sawhorses and we just put the trim and I just spray it right there in the center. And so we can even spray the trim while we're spraying doors and kind of keep everything going through at one time. If we have crown molding we need to spray, it just kind of goes in the center. Try to make everything mobile, and like all of our carts, even the cart I was sitting this on, everything's mobile. We use these janitor carts for finishing because we can just clip our guns in if we have multiple colors. Have extra pots of paint, sanding pads, tape. That's actually the old pivot point that we're going to build a framed wall and attach it to. I was thinking maybe over this door just for rework parts, so we can just open that door, or I don't know, even anywhere really. You can hang it anywhere. So that's essentially it. It came super quick. Nathan Guffey is just a really easy guy to work with. He's still in the cabinet industry, and he actually won't oversell you. He actually undersold me some stuff the first time I bought, and so I bought some extra stuff of these T-bars. I ended up buying more T-bars when I placed the second order, just because he's not going to let you spend more than what you need to. It's not a cheap system, but it's going to pay for it. It probably already has paid for itself, almost. No, it's for what I got, and everything is itemized. And so, the rail system you buy, you don't have to buy. So I bought the floor stands, these big L-shaped stands for the rail to hang on, but you can suspend them. If you had good supports above, you can just suspend them from that. And they tell you all that and show you all the configurations on their website. I already had one of these floor stands for the pivot point, and I like them. And I don't have a ton of structure above, but I didn't really want to hang it from, our framing that we have up here. So I wanted the floor stand. So obviously that's a cost. I wanted 4 carts. You may need 2, or you may need 8 cart. The mobile rail cars. All that stuff is manageable. So I got 4 mobile rail cars. I bought a U-shaped railing system and obviously all the dimensions can be changed, but I wanted like the 12 feet in the center. You're looking at about $20,000 for what I am set up with now. That's not including the pivot point system that I had already purchased. That's everything that I would have needed was about $20,000. So. Yeah, there's no pricing, but obviously what you'll do is you'll just talk to Nathan. He just kind of asks you like how many pieces you're finishing, things like that, the size of your space. And then he kind of gives you his recommendation. And again, he's going to undersell it just because, he didn't undersell it. He's not going to just say you need all of this. He's going to tell you like what you actually need. And I just wanted some extra things, some extra T hangers and things like that. So I bought some extra things. He's not going to, he'll ask you how you want to, he'll talk about how the different applications you can do the rail. He's not going to say, oh, you need the floor stands. I told him I wanted the floor stands. That's the application that I wanted. And of course, everything comes with those, everything to all the fasteners to fasten it to the concrete. Everything you need comes with it. And there's different sizes too. Like I went with the large bar up here. So I could finish like a 68-inch tall door. Because you have to think about the swing. And so I've got the largest arm that you could possibly get. You don't even have to get arms that big. Everything is kind of customizable. And so he'll run you an estimate. Everything was kind of broken down and itemized on there. And then you can kind of make a decision on what you want to add or take away or change. But it is very well built, very good quality. It's a great system. And all I had to do was order it, and it showed up a couple days later, and it took us a couple hours to install it. So everything was very easy. And so that was another important thing for me too. There's guys that will build their own kind of system, and that's great. I just don't have the time to do it. Really don't want to. He really has thought of a lot of things that I probably wouldn't have thought of. And again, it's just really good quality. Everything rolls very well. Everything connects very well. So, but we just do so much finishing. That's primarily what we do. So that's where I'm investing my money. And I sold, I don't think a lot of you know this, but in December, I sold all of my shapers, a table saw, barrel. I sold all of my equipment that we used to use. And I just turned around and put the money into this because I don't need those tools. They just sat and collected dust. And I just knew that I never wanted to make a 5-piece door ever again in my entire life. And so it was funny, one of my guys, Chris, afterwards, he asked me, he was like, was it hard to sell all that stuff? And, I said, I thought it was going to be hard. A lot of memories with that. And, almost like, oh my gosh, like look at all these tools I'm letting go. But I ended up telling him, I ended up feeling more successful just not because I didn't need those tools, but because, I had guys that were just starting out contacting me about the shapers. I had an old shaper on there. I showed a few shapers, and one of them, it was really cheap. It was like $400. And, someone was like, I don't know if I can spend that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I wasn't knocking that guy. I just remember thinking to myself, I remember a time in my life where $400 was a stretch for me. And now I'm selling this stuff thinking like, man, if I just want to do 5-piece doors again, I'm just going to go out and buy some really nice shapers. And I can just do that right now if I wanted to. And so I actually felt really good about getting rid of all that stuff. Because if I ever wanted another table saw for some reason, it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt me financially to maybe save, or I just had the money on hand to go buy one. And so it felt really good. It wasn't hard to do it. I felt kind of successful when I did it. It just didn't hurt. And, it was just kind of, I had some perspective because I had a lot of people. I had one guy from 6 hours away come buy it all. But, I had a ton of people that were wanting one piece of equipment or, kicking the tires for a $400 shaper that came with tons of, shaper bits and stuff that I didn't really care about. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, I remember those times and I'm not there right now. And that feels really good. And it just felt good to be able to turn that money and, invest it right back into a system that's going to improve our throughput and something we really needed. And that's the Guffey system for us. Just being able to have a finisher. I mean, the gun never has to drop his hand, and he can just roll through. If we could have all 4 of these racks filled up, I mean, it'd be like 100-something doors, and we could get them finished, and he would just never have to leave that area and get them all finished. So it's a big deal for us. We really enjoy it. Still some improvements we want to make on our booth, just adding another fan and a better compressor. And things like that, but those are coming soon.
Hey, Chris?
Yeah.
What's the width of your paint booth area there that takes up?
My booth itself, you're seeing a little framed up part, is 20 by
Yeah.
20. It's 20 inches deep by 20 inches wide.
20 feet.
Feet, yes. Sorry.
You've been a metric too long?
I'm sorry? Correct. That's right. If I can scroll up here. Yep. You can see it. Yeah, you're about 5 feet to that next beam. You were 20 by 20. And the railing system too, like, so I have the U-shape just because it's kind of what we had. I honestly don't even need this structure around it. That'll probably leave one day. We'll probably just tear all that down. It is kind of nice. It does trap some dust from coming above. But I've even thought about doing a rail system that, because the U-shape is just what I did. You could have one that's just a straight line. You could have it do an L-shaped where it goes in, and I could have the rail go all the way down, kind of like what Thomas Clayton had. Well, his was a round shape. I mean, you could do that too. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. But you could have it, you could do, like I said, an L shape where a cart plugs in here, but you have another cart plugged in on that side. I just liked the U shape because I already had, the fireproof curtains up to separate from the rest of the facility. And but you can configure it however you want to. And it really is pretty genius how it all kind of goes together. A lot of flexibility in it, which is nice. The U-shape just works for us. And yeah, the mobile rails are genius. Because again, I can, if I've got cabinets sitting cabinet boxes at the front of the shop, I can just wheel the whole stack of doors over there, and a guy can be hanging them in the drawer fronts. He doesn't have to bring the cabinets back here. He doesn't have to unclip them and walk them one by one. These mobile rails can go all over our facility with ease with one hand. I mean, I've pushed these racks full with one hand. They roll really well, so it works good for us. Anything else? I'm just walking. I'll try to show you. This is where the mobile rail and the rail meet. And I'll show you it connect and disconnect. Just like that. And then wheel these panels back. Well, you're not dependent on the floor entirely. Yeah, just putting the stoppers back in. We just bolt it to the floor. They do have shims that come with it to shim up the bottom if you need to, if you had something really uneven. We're on one square right now. And so it's pretty level. And then the rail system is obviously adjustable. I think we shimmed it maybe in the corner here somewhere. I mean, you can't even tell, just a little bit. He shimmed it in one spot, very slightly. And then the mobile rail, those two big bolts, you can loosen those, and this whole thing can adjust however you need it to. And so we had to practice with that, without doors on it, loaded with doors, because obviously that makes a difference. And so we just found a sweet spot. But again, this piece right here is tapered, so you can be off a little bit, and it's going to accept it. He uses it, so I mean, they really have. I mean, and this is actually an updated version. He's changed some stuff because he obviously uses the system. But yeah, it was very easy to install and level up or align things correctly. That wasn't an issue at all. So. And then we always put our stoppers on. And these are even pretty genius. They're tapered. And so all you got to do is twist it, and it'll lock in place. And so that's a big thing we drive home, is just make sure there's never an open rail, just because you don't want those carts falling off or doors falling off. And those are one-handed application with the red handles. Just twist it and unlock it. Pretty sweet. It's made a huge difference already, and we have barely even used it, or haven't used it for very long. We've used it a lot, not barely used it, but just hasn't been very long. So, and then I can show you too. Just got some. Hello, wrong way. If you have to finish your own edge banding, I just use these door trees. These are some upper cabinets, and this is the side of the cabinet. So the good side is facing down. And then we can just put a little painter spatula underneath and with one hand and spray it with the other hand. And so we've painted all this edge banding, this green color. So if you have some door trees you don't use, and you need to finish some edge banding, that worked out really well. It was super quick. We used to take them one by one and set them up vertically like this on some clamps, and spray it from this side, just so you wouldn't get any overspray or any paint on the inside of the cabinet. But then I needed to finish a bunch of parts quickly, so I just stuck them on the door tree and sprayed them, and it went like 3 times faster. So,
Chris, what are you talking about, a door spatula?
So you've seen them. You can get them at Home Depot. They've got like a handle on it, and then it looks like a long spatula that painters will use, like in the, if they're spraying crown molding, they can hold it up to the. Yeah, I think so. But you've seen them before. I don't know what they're called. I just call them a spatula. But that way, like, as you're spraying above, you can hold it underneath, and you don't get any overspray on the box. With those parts kind of stacked closely together. If you didn't have a lot of parts, you wouldn't have to use one. You just kind of space them out. But I had this whole door tree loaded up with box parts, so every gap was full, and so there wasn't a lot of space in between them, and so I just wanted to protect it from overspray. Yep, with unfinished edge banding. This part or this part? Right. Yeah, we never have what you would typically call a finished end on a box. We're either going to cover it with a cabinet or an applied end. And then, like a bottom of a base cabinet, you're never going to see the top of a cabinet, any cabinet, like your wall cabinet, you're never going to see. So I don't care about getting all this paint on it because it's going to be covered. You'll never see it. So we go face down is what we call it. So like on a base bottom, we're going to have bottom where the leg levelers go facing up, so you're not spraying the inside of the box. That's a very quick way if you need to finish edge banding. Again, the goal is to not finish edge banding. I hate finishing edge banding, but if you had to, that's a quick fix. You just got to be smart about how you load the parts so you're not spraying the inside of the cabinet box. And then if it's like the bottom of an upper cabinet, I'll just spray the whole thing. As long as I know that I need to spray the bottoms of the uppers. Or I can stack them up if I have a bunch that are the same size. Or if I only have like one odd part, I can tape it off if I have to. But those are kind of rare. Oh, hey, look. There's what? God. This gimbal. How much money is that right now? Who's the highest bidder? I will say, if you want a drill, well, actually, we don't have a lot of drawer slides around here right now because they're all being installed. Let me fix my camera here. There we go. I got some money down here. I got a bunch of money. I got boxes and boxes of money right here. Yeah, I got some drawer slides down here. These are extras. Anybody need one in a pinch? I'm not giving it up though. I'm sorry. We may need it in a pinch. Gosh, look at that! Look at all that money. Look at all that. It's nice. All right, unless anybody has anything else they want to see or talk about, there's a couple of our old carts for the Guffey system. And the one thing that we are going to do, because we have so many colors, you can see we attempted it with blue tape. I found these magnetic whiteboard strips, and so that can stick onto here. Sorry, there. And so we can write the color for the room, and that way it's on the rail, and we don't even have to think about it. So I've been meaning to tell Nathan that. Of course, we haven't done it yet. I just need to buy them. They've got them at Hobby Lobby. But once I do, send Nathan that, because I thought that was a pretty good idea. Because, we could have 3 different colors in the Guffey system. And, this one could be lattice, and the next one could be hunter green. And that way we can distinguish between them. So, no, that's not a bad idea either. I'll try that. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I might try that. But yeah, that's about it. Guys are back to grab some trim and go install some crown molding, I hope. I'm going to turn this off my phone and rejoin you back on the computer. Unless anybody has anything else.
I see when you're gravity feed paint gun for that. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's all we use is gravity feed. That's primer. That's airless.
How does that work out for you?
Yeah, I'm trying to find a good airless system because really likes airless. Not air assisted airless, but airless. It goes through the airless system really, really well. But yeah, for our primer, we just have the Home Depot brand, Graco, and we just have it, shoved into our 5-gallon pail of primer. That's basically it. Nothing fancy. Yeah, we use gravity feed. We use those PPS cups. We're swapping colors so often. Kind of a pain, but we don't have any mixing to do. It just pours into those pots. We don't have any additives or nothing's 2-part right now, even though Malaysia does have a 2-part water-based poly system that we do like a lot. It has to go through HGH, and HGH is taking a long time to tint. HGH has actually outsourced their general finishes tinting to a place locally. It's like 5 minutes away from my shop, and so I'm just the convenience of that is I'm having a hard time switching. So. Oh, okay. All right. I'm heading back into the office.